Good evening. In last Thursday's Stockwaves webinar, we covered a number of charts in the cannabis sector that were forming, coming into potential bottoms. I wanted to edit that and condense it and make it shorter, and editing was hard, so I figured I would just re-record the video. Also, a few days later, almost a week later, and we did get a little bit of extension and some possible reversals. So we'll take a look at more of those names now. Starting with MJ, and we'll also look at HMMJ, which are two of the ETFs for the cannabis sector. Don't have as much history on MJ, but we do have this very nice possible ABC completing a Cowabunga IPO pattern into somewhere in between the 1236 and the 1382 extension. Don't have the most ideal subwaves, but we could get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or some iteration of 5 waves down inside the C wave. If this is a fourth, though, right here, it is possible that the bounce, even though it looks like a strong move off the low, and some of the individual names do look like they're bottoming, which we'll see, but it is possible that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a fifth wave down to test the 15 region as the actual 1382. Let's compare that with the HMMJ, the Canadian version of roughly the same index. We don't have the same amount of prehistory here. In the ABC, I have, instead of an ABC down, I'm counting this because of the way that the high looks a little bit different here, as a WX and then an ABC for a Y wave. So that just looks like it fits the pattern. It's still a corrective retrace. It's just a combination pattern instead of the same ABC. And here, because of the prior move off of this low that we have, this could count as a B wave setting up for a measured move that targets at least the 26 to 34 region, provided this recent low holds. It does look a little bit stronger from the HMMJ, but similar to what we were looking at on MJ, it hasn't quite invalidated the potential for this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 and get a final fifth wave down to a nominal new low near the 8 region. Some of the names within the sector that I think are much more favorable looking than the indexes themselves. One, ACB. I think this is Aurora Cannabis. I really like this one and a few others that you can get a very good looking 5-wave move up at a larger degree, which can be a primary wave 1. And then the big consolidation that we've seen fits either as that ABC, where here in ACB, to get 5 waves down inside the C wave, we'd probably need a larger bounce as a fourth wave. So this would just be getting started with the possible wave 4 bounce. But this could be complete as similar to what we're looking at HMMJ, where this is a W, this is an X, and instead of 1, 2, 3, and needing a 4, 5 of a C wave, this is just ABC to complete a Y wave here. So we would need more confirmation off the low, and that confirmation will need to be as a 5-wave move up and then a 3-wave retrace, setting up the start of something much bigger. Whereas if we were just going to get a 4th wave here, this 4th wave would be an ABC move up and would turn down stronger in the 5th, and not look like it was holding a corrective retrace for a setup, strong setup higher. But longer term, this one does have some pretty nice potential. Even if we do get that lower low as a 5th wave, just a measured move, not even looking for a full 3rd wave extension, can easily take this up into the 120 region. Similar to ACB is Hexo. Again, we can count 5 waves up here. I can probably increase this 1 degree so that it matches the same degree as ACB. And again, the same possible, here it's an expanded flat because the B wave made a higher high. But perhaps the structure of this extension, this looked like a pretty impulsive move, but it couldn't hold a retrace in the 5s. and extend it down. And then this looks kind of like a possible B wave triangle. So perhaps switching this at this point to either just moving this primary wave 1 to the higher high and counting this as 3, 4, and 5 inside the wave 1, and then ABC down, or keeping it here and then moving this into a combination pattern where inside this X wave we have an ABC correction and counting that B wave as the triangle. So I think I'll stick with this. I like it the most. This wave 1 should probably hold before that 618. And so we want to see an initial 5 waves up that gets into the mid to high 2s. That would look really good as wave 1 of this wave 1 of a likely primary degree wave 3 starting. Moving on, similar to this count, we have a few Canadian names. CVBFF, this is, I don't know the name of this company. It's not on my data feed. Here it's a little bit more interesting because we have this big flat consolidation here. It means we don't know if there's prior data that we don't have that we should consider and count this as some sort of 4th wave or a wave 2. But off of this September 2015 low, we do have 5 waves up, and now we're working on a retrace. The retrace so far is pretty shallow. Even if this is the wave 1 and we're working on a wave 2, similar to what we were looking at in Hexo and ACB, we're still not even at a 382 retrace. So when we zoom in here, we can see a completing ABC, which looks like it's ready to start a bigger bounce. But this does not look like it's really ready to start something that's moving to substantially higher highs. This one really looks like it should be inside of just getting a B wave bounce. Oops, did not mean to move all of that. There we go. And we'll go ahead and increase the degree so that it matches the other ones. But it looks like this ABC is likely just the A wave inside a broader wave 2 here. It's very possible that this gets a pretty strong B wave, even making a nominal new high, especially if a lot of the other names are starting more bullish paths, but likely to try and trickle down at least in a wider flat. If this is a larger wave 1 and a wave 2 setup, and this would push way up here to the far right. But there is also a risk that this is still just another A and it gets another B and a C wave lower. If this was some sort of a 4th wave and this is a 5th, either in topping in a larger 3rd, in which case the larger 4th wave would still hold support down in this region, or if this whole thing was part of an even bigger degree wave 1, where this is just the 4 or 5 of the wave 1, this is still the general support region that we'd look for initially for that even larger degree wave 2. But we can track that. That would still, this ABC structure would still fit inside of that. And next we can look at EMH. EMH got a much deeper drop, but we have a similar 5 waves up into this early 2018 high. Here, the B wave looks really good as an expanded flat for the B wave, and then a very stretched out 5th wave of the C. Could easily do the A, B, and C inside of a Y wave here. Sometimes I'm just a little bit lazy and I don't change that. And sometimes it really is just a 5th wave that's stretched out and extended. Looks like it was trying to hold at the 618, but other things stretched, and so it dropped down here to the 76.4. So in terms of the likely start to a larger intermediate degree wave 1 of a primary wave 3 starting, at the very least we should see a 5 wave move up towards the 1.0 region for wave 1, and then holding the 60s as wave 2. and then getting a 3, 4, 5 up for that intermediate degree wave 1. But we at least want to see 5 waves up off of this low, but really good spot with it hitting that exact 76.4 to start to see some strong signs of a reversal. Now moving into a few names that have different looking counts, but that we still think have a lot of good potential. InBev is one of them. It does have this larger degree, good looking 5 waves up off of the 2016 low, came into a very nice 618 retrace, very strong move up, but is then, it had another possible wave 1 and wave 2, but couldn't hold that. So at this point, we're looking at a wider, a very, very wide alt of this intermediate degree wave 2. But if it can't hold 2.0 and turn up with everything else right here, then it's much more likely that this was some sort of alt B wave, and it's going to dip down under $1 to make this alt of a wider flat for this primary degree wave 2. But the wave 1 here was a 3,600% move, or 3,682. So really a massive move there. So I know, I think fundamentally speaking, it seems like InBev is just a couple of guys that can some cannabis beverages in a garage and stick some sticker labels on it. But the upside potential is pretty huge if it holds in that support. So I kind of tend to think of it as a non-expiring option. GWPH is probably a more established company. It started back here in 2013 as far as its larger primary wave 1, primary wave 2 into fib support, strong start to the primary wave 3 with wave 1 and an expanded flat for the wave 2. It dipped under the 786 here for the smaller green wave 1 and wave 2, which really should have held back here in the 128, 130 region. So it is getting more likely now that maybe this was the top of this wave 1, and we are getting a wider flat here for this alt wave 2 that I have in orange. But that doesn't necessarily need that much lower. This can be an A, B, and a C of a flat completing, even if it gets a nominal break of the 89 region, still have really, really good long-term potential to take this well past the 200s. And then CGC is another very, very popular name. I'm not as crazy about the chart, but I know if I don't cover it, I get bugged about it later. It doesn't have the same clear 5 waves up, so it's very possible that this counts as a C wave, but we do have a similar big ABC retrace off of that high that's coming into some good fib support as 5 waves down in the C and turning up strongly. So if, again, 5 waves up, if this is going to continue, should get us into the 23s to 25 region if this is going to fill out 5 waves, and then from there it should hold the 17s as a 1-2 in the start of something much more bullish. And lastly, we'll look at AVAA. AVAA again has a good 5 waves up. This structure looks best counted as an A, B, and probably needing to try and trickle lower towards the 260s for the C wave. It could have truncated as a running flat, but would need to see a 5 wave up move and then a 3 wave retrace. So, you know, some people who are adventurous might find a lot of potential trying to trade off of the recent low, not waiting for confirmation at a little bit larger degree of 5 waves up for that trend change, but just looking at the overall risk reward and saying, all right, there's a pretty, you know, healthy reversal, and as long as it holds that low, then we have something to work with. And other people might be a little bit more skeptical and want to look for a potential drop lower. And then lastly, we'll take a look at Cron, another one that's not one of my favorites, but I get asked about it all the time. And similar to canopy growth, this move up looks more like 3 waves. So we don't have a clean 5-wave move up. It's hard to count this as a 4-5. This looks more like an extension of the C wave, or as it's counted here, an expanded flat. But that certainly can set up for at least a swing move higher. And there is a lot of upside potential, because even if this is just going to get a swing move higher, that swing move higher can take out the B wave high, which takes this from single digits, possibly up over 25. So again, it's not the cleanest chart. I think there are other clean charts, but if you're trading them as a unit with some of the other ones, then there is plenty of upside potential. We just really want to see a little bit more of, if this is the first micro 5 waves up, which is not going to be clear at that small of a degree, then you get a wave 2 that holds the 650 region, and then 3, 4, 5 up into the 9 region as a better wave 1, and then an ABC retrace to hold the 7s, and that gives you a pretty decent setup that you can trade off of with much greater confidence longer term, as opposed to, there's good risk reward for looking at this and saying, all right, well, you have potential for a major bottom, but you have very little structure off of that low to rely on. So you definitely need to be willing to seek out the next extension levels for that C wave, which could be all the way down into the 450 region, or just stop out if that low breaks. All right, we'll end there, and I will talk to you guys later.